Hey, what is up, everyone? Chris, the Thrift Shop Hustler. Today is Toys R Us Tuesday, where every Tuesday we go and we talk about a vintage toy that I remember from Toys R Us back in the 80s. We haven't really done too many 90s toys, but we'll get there eventually. Today we have a special one for you. This one actually was pretty crazy. We're going to talk Cabbage Patch Kids. This was a craze in 1983. I'm talking like 1983, 1984, 1995. It was like the Tickle Me Elmo. It was the Christmas toy that everyone wanted, man. There was like fights, broken limbs, like hair getting pulled. This was the crazy toy that every kid wanted in the 80s, was the hottest toy. But there was some controversy and some hidden kind of history that not too many people know about. And when I actually talk about Cabbage Patch Kids with other people and I bring up this unknown history, I would say like 90% of the people don't even know about this story, and we'll get into that in a second. So once again, I'm Chris, the Thrift Shop Hustler. Been reselling collectibles and all kinds of stuff for 30 years. Do stuff like started off doing swap meets and eBay in the 90s and Yahoo auctions, and have been going to garage sales and estate sales ever since. So welcome to the channel. We just hit 2,000 subscribers. I really appreciate it. So if you're not subscribed, please click the subscribe button. Click the bell if you want to get notifications, which will give you like a little email notification whenever I go live, which you're going to be doing more live stuff pretty soon. We have some interviews slated for actually this week, so that'll be cool. But anyways, like I said, I'm Chris, the Thrift Shop Hustler. Let's get right into it. So yeah, Cabbage Patch Kids were a huge hit in 1983 is when they came on the mainstream, and they were created by Xavier Roberts. And I just want to say, like, the history that people don't know about, and we'll get right into that, is Xavier Roberts is not he's the creator of Cabbage Patch Kids, that line, but he actually stole the idea from a lady. I think she was in Kentucky. Her name was Martha Nelson Thomas, and a lot of people don't know that. And she was a lady that was creating these dolls in the 70s and selling them at like craft, not conventions, but little craft places and gatherings and stuff like that. And what happens was Xavier Roberts was buying them from her and then selling them at a premium in another part of the country or another state or whatever. And at one point she basically said, you know, I'm not going to sell these to you anymore. You know, for her, it was more of a personal thing. She was an artist. She took every creation almost like birth. And there's another thing too, is like she was the creator of like having the baby dolls have birth certificates. And that's where, you know, Xavier Roberts, the Cabbage Patch Kids, anyone that grew up in the 80s know that the little Cabbage Patch Kids came with a birth certificate. She's the one that started that. So anyways, we'll get into that real quick. And the fact that so what happened was Xavier Roberts told her straight out, and this is let me see here from the story, is that, and this is her right here. We're going to play a little bit of this Vice. This is a great documentary. I'm going to leave, it's a 16-minute documentary. I'm going to leave a link below. You have to watch this if you want to know anything about the real history of Cabbage Patch Kids. Well, anyways, she, like I said, Xavier Roberts pretty much stole her idea, told her, like, you know, if you won't sell these, I'll just make my own. He ended up making Cabbage Patch Kids. It was a huge hit, became a multi-millionaire. And she ended up taking him to court many, many years later and settling out of court. So there was a happy ending for her. She did die, I think, in 2013 of cancer, and she was able to put her kids through college with the money that she got from suing Xavier Roberts. So anyways, I'll play a little bit of this documentary real quick here.
Everyone knows about the Cabbage Patch craze in the mid-'80s. Well, it's derived from what Martha Nelson had been doing in the 1970s.
It's a really good documentary.
Martha Nelson was a young woman from far western Kentucky, a small town of Mayfield, and she made her way up to Louisville to go to art school. But Martha, amid the painters and sculptors and photographers.
So anyways, definitely go and watch that after this video. It's a great documentary. Like I said, people think Xavier Roberts was the one who created Cabbage Patch Kids, which he did. He created that brand, but he literally lifted the idea from this woman right here. And there was a whole lawsuit and all that stuff. So it's quite interesting. But anyways, back to 1983. This was a huge, huge hit. And we'll go to a History Channel mini documentary. And we'll leave a link to this one too also.
Especially at Christmas. One of the biggest was Sprouted in 1983. A cuddly toy that every father in America feared would be at the top of his kid's Christmas list.
I remember.
The mother of all toy crazes. It was introduced in 1983, and everyone had to have one. And that year, they sold millions.
They sold millions. He became a millionaire.
This baby was grown in a Cabbage Patch, and there's a birth certificate, and you can.
So yeah, that's what we're talking about, the birth certificate and everything. So that's what was crazy. And another thing too is, I know I talked about My Buddy being like one of the first dolls that was gender neutral, I would say, because they had like, they made a doll for a boy, My Buddy. And I'll leave a link up here to that Toys R Us Tuesday. You can see it right there. You can watch that. And but Cabbage Patch was really the original creator to do that. And I remember being a little like 4 years old getting one of these things for Christmas. And I was a boy, and obviously and so like these were gender neutral. It was the first time dolls were actually brought onto the male market, because it was dominated at the time with G.I. Joe and He-Man and Transformers, and Star Wars was all out too. So there was very like manly stuff. And like another thing that could be accredited to Cabbage Patch Kids is like American Girl doll and Build-A-Bear. Cabbage Patch Kids came with like accessories for the first time, and like really marketed accessories like jeans and shirts and all these kinds of things. And like Build-A-Bear and American Girl doll can thank Cabbage Patch Kids for like literally opening up that market. I mean, there was Barbie dolls, and you can buy Barbie accessories and clothes and stuff for years, but this is the first time a large scale doll was produced like this. Some of the original Cabbage Patch Kids will have like a soft head. These were the original 1979, 80, 81-ish Xavier Roberts ones, because he actually created some of them after seeing Martha's designs, and he actually went. Now I don't know if he had made them himself or had someone else made them, but I think he made them himself. He would sign them, and everyone knows who has a Cabbage Patch Kid remembers the signature on the butt. Well, he started that, and like a lot of Martha's, they were called baby. I want to say they were called like baby dolls or something like that. Though she never really signed any of those, because she thought like it kind of degraded the meaning. They were more like children to her. So you can see one like kind of folk artist in one corner, and then Xavier Roberts, this guy that was just like trying to make a buck and in the mass produce these, in another. It was like two different style artists here. But anyway, so what to look out for, of course, is Toys R Us Tuesday. We got to talk about secondary market. What you really want to look out for is the softer head ones that are kind of like plush, and especially those have the Xavier Roberts signatures on those. And we'll show you that right now. And the later versions had vinyl heads, like I want to say like the 1983 on versions have the vinyl head, which was kind of like the My Buddy. And we can look at some of the Cabbage Patch Kids. As we can see, this is a soft sculpture from 1979. And this one is actually signed. And let's go look. This one went for $750. And I want to see if they show you. The Xavier Roberts actually signed on the butt on this one. But, okay, yeah. Signed twice. So as you can see, we can see the signature on the butt and the 1979 with the X. And I like the way that he airbrushed this kind of this pigment in here. As an artist myself, I can really appreciate some of the details. And a lot of these eyeball things were all hand painted and kind of like heat pressed on there. And then the eyes were kind of hand painted, and they're pretty much all hand done. A lot of the earlier versions. So these are the ones to definitely look out for. Now, don't be mistaken. Make sure if you're going to find an old Xavier Roberts that's going to have his signature, because there was a lot of that were produced in that time that weren't Xavier Robert pieces. Let me see if I can show you this one, the signature on this one real quick too. The main thing you want to look out for is the signature. Xavier Roberts definitely signed them all. And look for this also, the Little People soft sculpture tush tag. A lot of the in between the handmade and the 1983 ones, we're going to have this Xavier Roberts tush tag. So definitely look out for that. One of the things I want to say is sometimes Martha's stuff, originals, show up from time to time, but not too often. Hers are pretty much considered like, they're almost like literally like fine art pieces, like almost like Andy Warhol, Pablo Picasso. A lot of her stuff that is not in the public domain or not in private collections or in museums. So, I mean, finding those is very hard. So if like you're in the Kentucky area or in that kind of area, definitely if you're at garage sales, especially estate sales, estate sales might not realize that, you know, they have an original Martha Nelson Thomas and just think that it's, you know, just a regular Cabbage Patch Kid and not really know. So definitely if you're in the Kentucky area, in that kind of area, and you go to estate sales, definitely look out for this kind of stuff. But anyways, what I was saying is Martha did her own line of baby doll heads, and this was out during the craze, so she thought she would take some of her idea and kind of still do this Cabbage Patch thing. And it was more like a craft thing where, you know, you basically, she gave you like the patterns, and as you can see right here, and you basically cut your own, you make your own, and then you put the head on, and you can definitely make your own kit. They're pretty much a kit. So like I said, you could still find Martha's originals every once in a while. Some of the Xavier Roberts, like I said, some of the Cabbage Patch Kids that aren't the originals to look out for is still stuff in the box. Like as you can see, this one went for $282. There's this one that went for $248. And to be honest, for the most part, production Cabbage Patch Kids, unless they're like super mint condition, aren't going to go for too much. So if you see these, like a ton of them, don't get super excited. Like I said, the ones that go for a good amount of money are the soft sculpture heads and the ones that are in the boxes and something that's new. These were dolls. These were like thrown around. So pretty much the ones that you're going to see in the garage sales and estate sales and thrift stores are going to be really like super beat up. So that's kind of like just a brief like Toys R Us Tuesday. We just barely briefly scraped the surface on talk about Cabbage Patch Kids. I remember having one. I had one in I think it was Christmas of 1984. Cabbage Patch that I can remember were hot from 83 to I think even into 86 and 87 they were still doing very, very well from my view, from what I remember when I was a kid. Every kid in the neighborhood had a Cabbage Patch Kid. It was almost like their little mini version of themselves. That's what was kind of funny too. And so, yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you learned something. You probably didn't even know about the history of Cabbage Patch Kids, how they started, and the whole conflict between Martha and Xavier. So definitely check out those links below of those documentaries. There's two. One of them is going to be the Vice one. Is really well done. It's 16 minutes long. And the other one is just basically a snippet of a History Channel kind of special where they were talking about toys and everything. So I'm Chris, Thrift Shop Hustler. Click the like button if you enjoyed this video. Leave a comment below if you had a Cabbage Patch Kid growing up. And yeah, so once again, thank you everyone. Toys R Us Tuesday, signing off.